Sills, National Football Show. Please hit the like button. Before we get into the second topic here, by the way, we're also going to look at the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, and I ranked them. I wrote down 5 players that I think could change the landscape of a football team that I think are going to be on the move here, okay? Lamar Jackson, boy, if I'm the Jets, I do everything in my power to get away from the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. Why would I want to give the Packers a first-round pick when the Packers have already told you they hate the guy? Why would I do that? I'd be negotiating against myself. Makes no sense. Let them cut the dude. Or do this. Go get Lamar. He's 25 years old. Lamar Jackson puts you in the conversation in the AFC East to win it. Aaron Rodgers gives you 1 year. That guy gives you 10. Is one first rounder for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay worth 1 year? Or is 2 first rounders and $50 million for Lamar Jackson worth 10 years of success? Man. And then on the process, you make Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers have to come back and kiss and make up. If I'm the Jets make you competitive against the Bills. You don't have a quarterback for the next 10 years like the Bills do. The Patriots are still trying to figure it out. I don't know, man. I think Rodgers is going to be a game changer if he goes to New York, but it's a year again. But I'm talking structurally in your organization. I just don't see it. I brought up D-Hop. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is going to change somebody's room. I'd love to have him in Philly, but you can't because they got 2 stars there. But DeAndre Hopkins is a superstar. Guy was on pace for 1,300 yards this year and 100 catches. I mean, this guy had 65 catches in 10 games. You figure it out. I mean, right? He was averaging 72 yards a game. You figure it out. This guy could still ball, man. He's still a ball player. He shot. Where? This guy's a Hall of Fame player, and he's at 30. He's a Hall of Fame player. And to me, he's one of the best third-down wide receivers I have ever seen. Dude, my God almighty, if the Bears cared about Justin Fields, man, you could go get DeAndre Hopkins and put him up there. If you cared about him. You put DeAndre Hopkins on the Bears, and you better do it now because the quarterback is on a rookie contract. You can afford the guy. Bring him up there. Man, if you cared about Justin Fields, you go get that guy. Bears done a ton of moves too. Right? Can you imagine DeAndre Hopkins in Denver? Put DeAndre Hopkins in Denver with Judy and Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. That might look good. Hey, watch this. I could see DeAndre Hopkins in New Orleans on the other side of Michael Thomas. This guy, again, as I said, Odell Beckham Jr., dude, if you like TikTok like Ben Simmons and those 2 idiots, he's your guy. You want to win some games? You go get D-Hop. Okay? D-Hop's a great ball player. This kid, Judy, might make a difference. For some reason, Denver's floating his ass out there. Dude, I'm with you, Charlie. That's a hard pass on Odell Beckham. Hard pass. How about this guy? Look at these 3 guys I got here. 4 guys so far. Lamar Jackson could change your entire franchise. Rodgers at least for a year, maybe 2. D-Hop. Jerry Jeudy. How about this last guy? Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. How many people think Derrick Henry shot? How many people think Derrick Henry shot? Okay? How many think Derrick Henry shot? Do you think Derrick Henry shot? Does anybody? Derrick Henry stats. Oh my God. Boy, hey. So Peter says Derrick Henry shot, who had 1,538 yards and 13 touchdowns. 4 yards a carry. He's 28. You think he shot with 1,500 yards? Yeah. Okay. Sure. Hey, I'll say this to you. If you think Derrick Henry shot with 1,500 yards, Kenneth Gainwell is a nobody compared to Derrick Henry. The entire Philadelphia backfield is not in that guy's class combined. That guy. Okay, so what if you put Derrick Henry in Buffalo? How about Derrick Henry in Kansas City? Dude, you're Veach, you go to him and go, how'd you like to go to the Super Bowl? You and Patrick Mahomes. Oh, whoa, man. Shit, if I'm Miami, I'd bring his ass to the Dolphins. Warm weather, take some heat off of Tua, run the ball with him. Shit, with those receivers? Night. Wait a minute. Can you see Derrick Henry in Miami? Behind Tagovailoa? So you have Derrick Henry, Waddle, and Tyreek Hill, and a quarterback, if he could stay on the field, the Dolphins would be the Dolphins would be trouble for anybody. Whoa. Derrick Henry's going to change a room too. These 5 dudes are going to change somebody's team. What if Derrick Henry goes to San Francisco? You got Henry up there in San Francisco. Does it matter who your quarterback is? Dude, go get Joe Montana. Dude, go get Jim Drunkenmiller or Carmine Garazzi or Carpazzi, whatever that guy's name was back in the day. Get Jim Drunkenmiller. Dude, does it matter? Oh, man. Hey, Yale goes, does he play quarterback? No, Christian McCaffrey can, though. If we cared about running back's position, I would sign him in a heartbeat. But he's going to cost you some bucks, dog. But I'd rather do this. If I'm going to pay somebody $7 million, it's that dude. It ain't the dude I just sent to Carolina, right? Hey, if I'm gonna, and by the way, they haven't cut him yet. I don't think. Hey, Yale, they haven't cut him yet, right? So, I mean, June 1, I think they got to get all that money, and they got to get to the 244 cap. And they got to sit at the cap. I think it's June 1 that they got to do all that stuff. Jim Drunkenmiller, GG, remember that stiff? They had another guy, Carmine. What was that guy's name? Giovanni Carpazzi? What was that stiff's name? Hey, come on, don't hide on me now, Niner guy. Who was that stiff? Carmine Giovanni? I forget. And dude, did I root for him so hard? He was a Paisan. I hope Carmazzi, that's it. Hey, I rooted for that guy. Come on, Paisan. Then I realized he blew, and I went, Dan Marino. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, Bill Walsh drafted that stiff. He did. He got lucky on Montana in the 3rd. Totally got lucky on him. These 3 guys are going to change a room. Okay? Lamar's still under that, that peculiar franchise tag where teams can match and then the Ravens have to match it. Do you understand this? How pissed off Lamar Jackson has to be now? Do you know if nothing happens and Lamar goes back to Baltimore, they're going to earmark him for $36 million? Dude, I don't know about you, but I'd be one pissed off dude. Okay? $36 million. And Jalen's going to sign for $50. And I'd be like, the entire gamble that he put out there a year ago would have been a colossal disaster for him. I'm rooting for him. I want him to get his money. But if nobody comes to the table and puts those ones on the table and the 51 million, his gamble failed. It would be the same. Remember when Le'Veon Bell did that stupid shit with the Steelers? He gambled. He sat out here, 17 million. He might as well thrown that money in the trash can and lit it on fire. Then he took less money to go to the Jets. And you're like, whoa, was that a colossal disaster? Dude, hey, Lamar, man, if I'm him, I don't know if I'd play. I might sit that out. Okay? No way. 36 million for a guy who was looking at 200 million in guaranteed money and 50 million base. 36 on that non-exclusive franchise tag is not where I'm assuming he wants to be on March 22nd. Wow. That's an F. Dude, you go back to your mom and go, Mom, it didn't work, Mom, like you told me it was. Mom, it didn't work. You told me it was going to be all better. Well, sorry, son. We blew it. Mom, we can't blow it. It's $250 million, Mom. Yeah. Dude, this is when you and your mom go, hey, Mom, I'm going to have to take this to another guy. Okay? I'm going to have to take this to another guy. Okay. Yeah, man. My friend down the hall, he's got a law firm. We're going to go there. I don't know. Mom, this didn't work. Well, my son deserves. I know. But this is business. All right, let's get over to the other topic. I was, and I still am, in the camp that Sean Desai was a fantastic hire. I'm going to tell you a little bit more why I'm there with this. Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, some of the greatest defensive-minded guys. The 49ers love this guy. He has and is, in my opinion, one of the future stars in this league. I think this guy's going to be a head coach one day. Okay? I think this guy is going to be a head coach one day. I totally do. I still have debates on how it's going to look. And go with me here on this. Do you believe that Howie Roseman will put the right pieces and replace the pieces that have been lost? And guys, whatever you want to say, they lost 5 starters. 5 starters. And I'm going to show you this. There wasn't a guy you lost that didn't get a massive pay increase. So this is just not you and me talking here. And whether or not you like the Gardner Johnson deal or not, he did get $8 million plus 1.5 in incentives. This guy's got a shot to make almost $10 million, and he made $800,000 last year. TJ Edwards made $1.5 million. He's making $7 million. Kaiser White, $1 million. He's making $5.5 million. Epps got a raise with the Raiders. Hargrave hit the lottery. So when you tell me you're going to those guys were all thought of by the Raiders, Niners, Bears, Lions. Other organizations thought these guys were quality players. Are you going to replace? Do you understand what I'm saying here? You're not just replacing okay guys. You're replacing very talented and highly compensated guys. Hey, this is not just, you can't just do this. The guy was overrated. That's not true. Organizations, they bid for these guys. And remember, like I told you, the first 2 weeks of free agency, that's where your stars are. When you get into like the latter half of the second week, there's not really a lot of dudes left. They're like this Morrow kid. Okay? They're like guys like that. No disrespect to him. But they're guys like that. And quite frankly, this free agency market, I think there was about a week and a half worth of stars. And the rest of them, I'll tell you what they saw was also the market out there with the amount of money. Look, people say, well, there was no money out there. Well, that's Javon Hargrave, Dad. He's the third highest paid D tackle now. And every Eagle got a massive increase. Your Eagle guys didn't get marginal increases. They got significant increases. Basically, what they got deal. Even Bradbury got the deal he wanted in New York and Philly. Okay? Every one of these guys were highly compensated and were bid on. So, are you more concerned with the coordinator or with Howie replacing the players you've lost? 85 goes, Hargrave and CJ were the only real losses. That's not true, 85. And the aspect, if you're ranking players, you're right. But you lost a collection. It wasn't one. It was 7. You're missing the point. 7 starters are off that team that all Miles Sanders, significant raise. Sayamalo, significant raise. Even Zach Pascal, significant raise. You're missing the point. All of these, dude, everyone loses players. Not everyone loses 7 starting players who are highly compensated. It's the collection. So, again, are you more concerned with Howie finding guys or Sean Desai? By the way, didn't they just hire a brand new defensive back coach yesterday? So you got like 5 new coaches, a new coordinator on that side of the ball alone. I don't think Brian Johnson's going to be that much of a difference. We'll see in games, situational play calling, how much that changes with him. It's up to Jalen really in an RPO offense. So I'm not losing sleep on that side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, shit, I don't even know what the thing looks like on a chalkboard yet. I have no idea. By the way, the whole thing with Jordan Davis, that's not the conversation. Are you more concerned about Howie replacing and finding, getting Hassan Reddick? You think Howie's going to duplicate? I guess the question, I should simplify it. You think he's going to duplicate what he did a year ago? It's funny. I don't know why, but on March 10th of 2022, I thought you were going to the Super Bowl. I don't know why. I'm going to have to go back and maybe listen to that. Why I thought that. Maybe because there were just veteran guys. Because I knew who Kaiser White was. Tom Telesco, I talked to Tom. He didn't want to let him go. He said, that dude's a tackling machine. We just don't have the finances for it. Dude, they can't. They're having problems right now trying to keep Keenan Allen and Mike Davis or Mike Williams. They're having problems keeping those 2 guys, and they want to keep those. They just got rid of Eckler. Okay? It was May 10th? Okay. I thought it was March 10th. Do you have more issues with the coordinator or the GM trying to find? By the way, this goes right down how he shoot. He's really good on veterans. He's great on veterans, man. Drafting, I don't know. We've had that debate. Not walking back over that. Desai was awful in Chicago. Really? Robert Quinn had 18 sacks when he was there. Quarterbacks have sucked in Chicago since McMahon. Oh, wait. Rex Grossman, excuse me. He did get the team to the Super Bowl. Hey, Rex Grossman got the Bears to the Super Bowl. Unbelievable. Rex Grossman. So when somebody always tells me, it's funny because I get people over on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo. Hey, Sills, Jalen got the team to the Super Bowl. I'm like, yeah, Rex Grossman got the Bears to the Super Bowl. Okay. And I'm not suggesting that Rex Grossman had the kind of season Jalen did, but careful on that one. I can name you a ton of shit quarterbacks that took teams to Super Bowls. I mean, really. Sales, do you think Bijan Robinson will be as good as Eric Dickerson? Dude, Eric Dickerson is the best running back I've ever played against. It's my crowning achievement. I hit, get this. I post it every now and then. I should post it again on my Twitter page. I will. It's me knocking his helmet off. I crush him. And then he turned around and went for 197 yards. Dude, ED, man, was one of my favorite people, man. I wanted to go to SMU, honestly. I almost went to SMU because of him, man. He was such a great football. He's the best running back I've ever played against. I played against Ironhead, Walter Payton, a bunch of them dudes. Herschel Walker. Bo, this guy's the best I've ever seen. Eric Dickerson was, and to say Bijan Robinson's going to be in Eric Dickerson's league. Here, let me just put this in perspective to you. Eric Dickerson's first year, he went for 1844. Then the next year, he went for 2105. His first 2 years, he went for $4,000. Look it up. Guy went for 2105 his second season in the league. And his first year, I think he went for 1814 or some shit, 1844. This guy had $4,000. $4,000 in 2 years rushing in the NFL. Absolutely insane. He was an insane ball player. That's when running backs were premiums back then. He was so freaking good, dude. After this year, with all the veteran signings, we're going to have to really be – hey, Tone, can you put that up there for me, please? I want to make sure I get the guy's his super chat up there. Thank you. After this year, with all the veteran signing, we're going to be really young on defense next year, mainly because we have to sign the quarterback. Eagle Way, that's why I said, okay, maybe with that 10th pick, you move down and out, and you take, unless Jalen Carter or the edge rushers, Will Anderson and Tyree Wilson are there. Those three guys might keep me in the 10 hole. Xander wants to move up and get Will. Dude, Will's the best defensive football player Nick Saban's ever had. Michigan State, LSU, and Alabama. He's the best player he's ever coached defensively. I would say, is he the best player he's ever coached in his entire coaching career? I don't know if Plaxico Burress was up there at Michigan State when he was there. I'm trying to think. Is Will Anderson the greatest player Nick's ever coached? Derrick Henry, probably. The kid at Atlanta too was awful good. He was awful good too. He was good. He played with the Bucks this last year. Dante Hightower was good, but he's not like these two guys. Okay? I probably think it's Henry. Derrick Henry's probably his best player. Derrick Henry's going to the Hall of Fame. Okay? He's probably going to the Hall of Fame. Just a great football player. Okay. So I would probably say Henry and then this kid Anderson. We have to see how he plays out. Julio Jones has got it. It's Julio Jones or Derrick Henry. Those are the two guys. Okay. Charlie says, Sills, what do you think about Brown's comment? Does it hold water? I don't know what the comment was. AJ McCarron. Tell you what, he's got a great looking girlfriend. Okay, so that's kind of my take on it. I'm kind of concerned about the personnel that they're going to put on this team. I think Desai could draw up anything he wants on a chalkboard. End of the day, I think it's going to be about the personnel that how he puts on the field. I think the Sean Desai hire is great, but how he's got to retool this thing. Okay, he's got to retool it. All right, I want to do something here now. I want to do it, and you tell me. I want to show you how important it is for the Eagles to have their quarterback situation today on March 22nd kind of resolved. And the reason I put that parentheses around kind of resolved, because today it seems comfortable that you're comfortable with the quarterback that you have. The same way you did going into the 2018 season. The 2 years that you have had where you feel comfortable at quarterback are 2018 and 2023, right? You feel comfortable with Wentz going in after the Super Bowl year. And there was probably some reservations on whether or not Foles should have got the team, but that's a different conversation. So the Eagles, since Carson Wentz, have had the luxury of not worrying about the quarterback position where they felt completely sold was 2023 and 2018. Okay? Wentz was coming off an MVP season. He finished second also. Again, we're not litigating and trying to revise history here. We're going for what it was then and is now. Not talking about who's the better quarterback, not talking about who's the better man, not talking about who's the better none of that. I'm talking about the Eagles' place as they head into this offseason. Okay? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And Ray goes, Wentz was coming off an injury, and you still gave him a contract extension. Again, we're not litigating this again. We've talked this ad nauseum. But you feel comfortable. I want to show you how many programs, okay, are in need of quarterbacks. I have the far, way too early quarterback rankings heading into the NFL draft. Okay? And still with some free agency here. Arthur goes, don't do it, Dan. I think you'll be pretty cool with it. I put Gardner Minshew as the worst quarterback that's going to start potentially. Now, again, I think the Colts are drafting a quarterback. But let me show you how pathetic this is. Gardner Minshew is a starting quarterback in Indy. Watch this. You think they need a quarterback? Number 31, Desmond Ridder in Atlanta. Think they need a quarterback? The Jets, they got rid of the kid White. I think they sent him to Miami. Zach Wilson. So look at Colts, Jets are the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And you know what? I wouldn't have a problem with you changing any one of these guys up. Okay? Houston, David Mills. These are starting quarterbacks. Dude, hey, before I continue, if If you're Houston, the Jets, or Atlanta, or the Colts, why wouldn't you sign Cam Newton? I mean, I don't care if he's got a chicken noodle arm. He's better than those guys. Jesus. And he'd make you relevant. Jesus, man. I just named you 4 teams with 4 stiffs. Dude, Cam's got to be looking at this going, are you kidding me? Dude, did you hear the comment that San Francisco was talking to Ben Roethlisberger at coming in and playing football in 2022 after the quarterback got hurt? The 49ers, John Lynch, picked up the phone and called Ben Roethlisberger. Dude, that may have been – they probably called Phillip Rivers too. Okay, they probably called Phillip Rivers. Right? Wait a minute. Joseph goes, Cam chicken noodle arm. David Mills, Zach Wilson, Desmond Ridder, Gardner Minshew. Oh, I'm sure those guys belong on the chicken arm ranch as well. Don't you think, Joseph? Joseph, if I'm putting a chicken arm ranch together and you want to put Cam on it, that's one thing. But these other 4 guys, don't they belong on the farm too? Hey, we got a whole farm full of chicken arm quarterbacks. What's their names? David Mills, Cam Newton, Zach Wilson, Desmond Ridder, and Gardner Minshew. What do they all have in common? Well, one doesn't start and the other are starters in the NFL. Dude, okay. Wait, who's next? Nate Peterman? Wait, they got another one. Baker, number 1 overall pick. Mayfield is the starting quarterback in Tampa. So here's your, from 32 to 28, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, Zach Wilson. As of today, David Mills, Baker Mayfield. Those are your starting they're starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Every one of those teams need a new guy. Kyle Trask? I hope. Baker Mayfield. Hey, dude, he probably fits in really. Hey, Baker Mayfield probably fits in really good with the old folks down in Tampa. Progressive night. Then you're going to have like oxygen mask night or stripper pole night there at Raymond James. It's one or the other. Trust me. Kenny Pickett. I got 27th. Pittsburgh. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, we'll see. Look at these guys. Washington. We're going to talk to Doc Walker in 5:30 Eastern time, part of the broadcast team for the Commanders. Jacoby Brissett. I actually like Jacoby Brissett. Frank won some ball games with him when he was in Indianapolis. I like Jacoby. Won games up in New England. I think he's a pro's pro. Is he a top flight quarterback? No. But I'll tell you, one thing you got to give Belichick credit for, he drafted Mac Jones, who starts, Jacoby Brissett, who starts, Jimmy Garoppolo, who starts, and he drafted the GOAT. Belichick drafted all those quarterbacks. Can you name me an NFL head coach that drafted all quarterbacks that started like that almost simultaneously at the same time? Last year, he had 4 guys that he drafted were starting on NFL teams that he drafted in New England. That's pretty remarkable. He may suck at picking wideouts, but he could pick a quarterback. Okay? He could. Matt Castle, too. That's right, dude. Matt Castle never started it down at Southern Cal. He sat behind Matt Leinart and Carson Palmer, and he won 11 ball games when Brady got hurt. Then he won a division title in Kansas City. Got a contract extension, too. This guy knows quarterbacks. That he was able to do all that. I mean, Matt Castle never started it down at USC. Ever. I got Mac Jones at 25. Jarrett Stidham, too, huh? This guy's nuts at quarterback. He gets it. I wonder why. He's a defensive, Everyone's ripping Belichick because of that shit show he had a year ago. They're calling him overrated. Well, this guy drafts starting quarterbacks, and they all play. This guy drafts quarterbacks to start. I mean, there's certain organizations. Look at the Jets. The Jets can't get one quarterback right. You got to go into free agency and find a 39-year-old old guy and give up a one for him because you can't get the QB spot right. The last time they got the quarterback spot right in the draft in New York has to be Chad Pennington. Has to be. That's the last time the Jets got that position kind of right. Belichick can draft a quarterback. He gets it. Hey, greatest defensive-minded coach in the history of the National Football League has drafted 5 starters. Is insane. Yeah, you're not going to hear people giving him credit for it, but the GOAT knows how to get them. The Jets. GG. The Jets, remember? Fireman Ed. This is probably unfair. I got Russell Wilson at 24. I think Russell Wilson is going to have a great turnaround year with Sean Payton. I do. But he was so terrible. And the reason I put him at 24 down here is because his teammates didn't like him. Boy, I was shocked. His teammates didn't like him. And I don't know, man. Watch this. Do I think he can get Denver to the playoffs? I do. But boy, I have never seen a quarterback go from like this to that. I mean, he like fell off a cliff. I couldn't believe how far he fell and how bad he was. I mean, I got him at 24. Get this, I got Andy Dalton ranked ahead of him. Probably not cool. Andy Dalton beat the Eagles. I mean, Andy Dalton's got a winning record. Do I think Andy Dalton's better than Russell Wilson? No. Russell Wilson had one of the worst years I've ever seen a quarterback had that you paid $300 million to. I mean, look, I think Wilson has a chance to fly up this list. You got Ryan Tannehill at 22. Dude, look at this shit. Outside of Russell Wilson, from 22 to 32, look at the bottom 10 quarterbacks. Tannehill, Dalton, Wilson, Mac Jones, Jacoby Brissett, Kenny Pickett, Baker Mayfield, Davis Mills, Zach Wilson, Desmond Ridder, Gardner Minshew. These are the guys on the depth chart right now that are starting in buildings. Bottom 10 quarterbacks are terrible. Russell Wilson excluded. Well, where would you put Tannehill? Got him at 22. Ryan Tannehill has won a boatload of games in Tennessee. I got Jimmy G at 21. Vegas Raiders. I got Brock Purdy at 20. Brock Purdy, for the time he was on the field, was good. There's 2 players on this list that have a chance of moving in either direction. I think it's Russell Wilson and Brock Purdy. Purdy could fall down to where these guys are, down where the Gardner Minshews are, or he could continue to rise. He did win. Brock Purdy was 1-1 in the playoffs. Actually, was he 2-1? I forget. Was he 2-1 in the playoffs? He had to play the wild card round. Then he had to play the divisional round. So he's 2-1 in the playoffs. Beat the Cowboys too. I mean, I mean, his first time in the playoffs, he was pretty good. He got hurt. We'll never know what it would have been in the NFC Championship game. We'll never know. Okay? But how about this? His first time in the playoffs versus Jalen's first time in the playoffs, night and day. Purdy was really good. And he beat a Cowboy team that hung 40 on the Eagle number 2 ranked defense. I mean, some always go like this. Well, Jalen didn't play in that game. Well, guess what? Jalen don't play corner. Jalen doesn't play defensive line. Dak threw for 78% completion percentage against that defense. And Jonathan Gannon. Whatever it is with Dak, I don't know what it is with Dak and the Eagles, man. He owns it. I got Matthew Stafford at 19. I'm starting to think that we're starting to see the end of him. You know what's funny? After he won the Super Bowl, people barking that he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm like, not happening. Matthew Stafford's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. If Phil Simms isn't, that guy clearly is not. Matthew Stafford, a Hall of Fame quarterback. Do you really think? Get this, he's going to get some love for it. Who would you rather have as a career, Matthew Stafford or Phillip Rivers? Who do you think? Who would you rather have quarterback your team, Phillip Rivers or Matthew Stafford? And no, Matthew Stafford's had Cooper Kupp and Megatron. I'd rather have Rivers. Rivers, in my opinion, is a better quarterback than Eli Manning. He's a better quarterback than Eli. You trying to tell me you don't think if Phillip would have stayed in New York, he wouldn't have put up the same shit that Eli did? I do. I like Phillip Rivers, man. By the way, your boy in Philly reveres him. Your boy in Philly, Nick Sirianni, gives Jalen Hurts game tapes of Phillip Rivers. He studies Phillip Rivers more than any quarterback that Sirianni's ever coached. Do you know that? He doesn't study Lamar Jackson. He doesn't study Tom Brady. He studies Phillip Rivers. He said it himself. He watches game tape after game tape of Phillip Rivers. And how Phillip Rivers, I should post that picture of me and Phillip. I love the guy. I'm a big Phillip Rivers guy. By the way, coached by his dad in high school. He's a high school coach now. I believe in Alabama or North Carolina. I think it's Alabama. Okay? This guy watches game tape after game tape of Phillip Rivers. He said so himself on that Monday night get-together with the Mannings. They asked him because they thought that he'd be watching some of the dual threat guys. He goes, no, I watch Phillip Rivers. I was actually taken by that, but it made sense because Frank Wright and Nick Sirianni all worked together with Phillip in San Diego for Mike McCoy, who, by the way, Mike McCoy now works for guess who? Doug Peterson. All these guys are Doug Peterson guys. Okay? They're Doug. It's funny. Frank's a Doug Peterson guy. Sirianni worked for Mike McCoy. You know, it's funny. It probably goes back to Mike McCoy, who I thought was a shit head coach with the Chargers. Okay? Imagine that. Yeah, see, most of you don't know that Jalen Hurts studies Phillip Rivers. Okay? He studies Phillip Rivers. Dude, Phillip Rivers had Antonio Gates, Vincent Jackson, LaDainian Tomlinson on that 14-2 team, and then they fired Marty Schottenheimer. You want to know what a shit organization the Chargers are? That's it in a nutshell. Man, if I'm Justin Herbert. So get this. The greatest quarterbacks in the history of the Chargers are Dan Fouts, Phillip Rivers. They never went past their conference championship games. And who was the quarterback that took them to the Super Bowl? They got killed by the Niners in the Super Bowl. Who was that guy? He was some nobody. think he played in Washington a little bit. Who was that dude that was the quarterback that took the Chargers to the Super Bowl? I mean, it was just an off dude. And you had Dan Fouts and Phillip Rivers. This guy, Justin Herbert. Stan Humphries. That's it, Stan Humphries. Stan Humphries took the Chargers to the Super Bowl with Bobby Ross. Good night. I got Justin Fields at 18. There's something about the kid that I like. There's something about the kid I like. You know, I like him. I just don't see it. I mean, maybe if they get him a big-time wideout like DeAndre Hopkins, he works so hard, and you root for that. I think you do. He works so hard. He's really trying to be an elite guy. I don't give a shit about the rushing yards. I could care less. Got him hurt in the end, as usual. Dual threat. Got him hurt in the end. Wore him out. No help in the O-line. The Bears are, you know what? I'll tell you this. Let me ask you this about Justin Fields. If Justin Fields had come to Philly, do you think he'd be showing the same progress that Jalen Hurts has shown? Better coaching? Do you think Fields would be further along if he didn't get drafted to Chicago? Well, here, let me do this. There's a reason Josh Allen got better. Yeah, Brian Dable around him. Okay? He's got great coaching around him. It's the best time he's ever had coaching. He never had coaching in Wyoming. This guy was recruited by one Division I program. Do you know Josh Allen had to beg teams to try to give him a scholarship, and only one team gave him a full ride, and that was Wyoming Cowboys. Only one team gave him a scholarship. Wyoming. I mean, he got terrible coaching there. He got great coaching in Buffalo. That's why he's making $44 million now, $42 million. Just wonder. See, to me, I just wonder where Fields would be if he had gone to a place like Kyle Shanahan. If that would have been something different. I'm rooting for him. He's at 18. I got Tagovailoa here at 17. I could go either way. Here. Look, my take on Tua, he doesn't have a very strong arm. He's accurate. He's brittle. He's smart. He's a good dude. Team likes him. Players like him. And I agree with Tyreek Hill. He's probably more accurate than Mahomes. But he's not Mahomes. Well, Tyreek Hill broke all kinds of career records, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought Tyreek Hill was going to take a step back because I thought Tua was a lesser of a quarterback. Tyreek Hill had career record numbers for him. So he didn't take a step back. He actually elevated his game. Quarterback had to get him the ball. So there's too many negatives against him. Constantly hurt. And the littlest thing takes him out for weeks. You cannot build a championship franchise, in my opinion, around a guy who gets hurt and is out of the lineup. You just can't. I think that was one of the knocks on Miles Sanders. Sanders is a fine talent. Can you really rely on him? Man, sometimes he's there. Sometimes he's Casper the Ghost. And plus, let me say this to you too about Tua here. I got him at 17. I'm ranking the top 32 quarterbacks. If you're a coach, do you feel comfortable putting him on the field knowing that that could be something serious if he ends up getting hurt? Let's do something as men here. Do you feel comfortable putting that guy in a position where he could be injured permanently? Man, that is dude, When I'm coaching somebody, I don't want to feel I'm going to kill him if I put him in a game. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel like I could kill the kid. I as an organization, general manager, head coach, quarterback coach, I just don't want to. I don't want to be put in that position. Barbara goes like this. Tua is a good guy. I hope he stays. See, but Barbara, should a coach have that mentality? Man, I love the kid. I hope he's safe out there today. Because you know why, Barbara? Here's something to think about. Do you put him in a position where he can get hit? Is your play calling called differently? Are you more apprehensive in your situational play calling because you may hurt the kid? I don't want to have that in my headset when I'm calling plays against the Bills. Jesus, man, if I'm Ken Dorsey, I got my headsets on. Shit, man, do I run an RPO right here? What if he gets hit? What if he gets hut? I mean, you know what I mean? That's the plays. No coach should be, or player should be put in a position like that. Dan, do you think the NFL is starting to become unbalanced because of the pay of the quarterbacks? I do. It's the quarterbacks and everybody else. You know what's funny? Lamar Jackson is really the only quarterback I've seen have a contract dispute, right? No quarterback has contract disputes anymore. They all get paid. Kyler Murray didn't have one. He cried a little bit. He erased his stupid-ass social media. All the dumb things kids do today. Well, look at my social media, social media, the outhouse wall of social media. It's a message. It works, though. It totally works. You could create a complete narrative. Do you know that 16% of the United States of America is on Twitter? And yet the idiots on Twitter have a voice that somehow supersedes reality. Makes no sense. Because if it's on social media, I mean, my daughter looks at it like it's water and air. Must be true. It's there. Okay. Yeah. Hear the greatness. Daniel Dimes Jones at 16. I think this guy's a bum. But he did improve. And they are getting him help. If DeAndre Hopkins goes there, that could be scary. They're starting to put some pieces around that Dimes Jones dude. Okay? And they have to have some confidence in him to give him the money that they gave him. Okay? I got Deshaun Watson at 15. You talk about a quarterback that has pressure on him. I don't know if there's a quarterback in the NFL that has any more pressure than this guy. 230 million reasons why he's got pressure on him. Hoss, you can't just win games. You got to get to the AFC title game. You got to justify that money. You get kind of a hall pass last year. You ain't got any more. That shit's over with. I've never seen a guy get more hall passes than Deshaun Watson. Okay, you're over the allegations. Okay, everybody gave you kind of the hall pass because you were out. Okay, year before in this year. Okay, dude, you better get that team to the AFC Championship game. Getting them to the playoffs does not justify $230 million in guaranteed money. You better get your ass to that game, and you better be close to winning that bitch. Like, Deshaun Watson has to beat Mahomes. Deshaun Watson has to beat Herbert and Burrow, and he's got to be considered that, not the 14th ranked quarterback on Big Sills' list. Hey, if this guy was making $175 million and 90 guaranteed, and he's like the rest of these stiffs, he's like Dak. Okay, that's one thing. Get $250 million guaranteed, bro. You got to win, and you got to win big. Neil goes, not happening. Well, Neil, most of those $40 million and north of those $40 million deals don't win. 90% of those big money deals don't win. Hey, Neil, you're going to be in that conversation soon too. whether it wins or not, with Jalen's contract. Outside of Mahomes, the big money quarterbacks don't take you to Super Bowls. I can't wait to the day. Let me see. Has there been a Super Bowl that we've seen in recent time where two quarterbacks were over $45 million? Has there been? Has there been? Let me finish my